Hawk Tuah, spit on that thing. I'm so fucking sorry. If you don't know, the Hawk Tuah girl, Haley, what is it? Haley Welch? Haley Welsh has made a podcast called Talk Tuah. Do you get it? Thankfully, Daddy Guardian watched all 56 minutes and 10 seconds of this incredible podcast so that you don't have to. And I gotta say, it's exactly what you expected. It's not that funny. It's, whatever. But I need to make this an 11 to 12 minute video, so let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk Tuah. It's 22 different points, and let me just go through the points to explain to you how funny this podcast is, because I'm sure you'll get a gaff. So there's rewriting history, which is them talking about Hawk Tuah. And then there's getting comfortable with controversy. Haley is in love with Matt Rife, of course. Of course, Matt Rife got brought into this. Jesus Christ. Why it's time to stop shaving your vagina hair. The ghetto Dolly Parton, which actually, listening to the podcast, when it's full of jokes that aren't funny, that was kind of a funny joke. I mean, The Life of a Crackhead. Oh my god, this fucking cat. The Life of a Crackhead. How Haley reacted to the Hawk Tuah video dropping. Haley teaches Chelsea the Hawk Tuah. Oh, dude, you actually gotta watch this clip, because it's fucking. It irks me.
Do it. Hawk Tuah.
There you go.
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh, like really give it. All right, all together. Hawk Tuah. Hawk Tuah. Hawk Tuah. Say it aggressive, like
Hawk
you really.
Tuah. Like you're mad at the day. You're mad at it.
Okay, so I was like recording that for the video. Like I'm editing the video right now, and I'm like, I actually like sat here and just like I felt like I couldn't move. Like I was actually, oh my god. Hey, editor Revan here. I realize you don't need to hear like me list everything off, so I'm just gonna stop it right here. Okay, you're welcome. Haley's plans with Pause Across America, which actually, okay, I will say, to not be a completely negative person, the fact that she is helping with Pause Across America, which is basically like they get like dogs that are like bad dogs, and they kind of like reform and like try to help them, and it's not just bad dogs, but it's like, dogs without limbs and shit like that. So really cool on her part. I will give her that. I don't think she's a bad person. Like, I should probably preface that. She's not a bad person, but she just made an unfunny joke and now gets to write on it. Which is like, yeah, 56 minutes of basically just nonsense, which is kind of how most podcasts are nowadays. Like, and trust me, like, I'm a guy who's just tried starting 3 different podcasts. I know when you talk about nothing, I guess people like it. So whatever. I would say that there were two times in the 56 minutes of the video where I laughed, and it wasn't like a oh. It was just kind of like they made a joke about like crackheads, or it's like, well, yeah, crackhead. Like, I forgot what the joke was. It was kind of stupid, but it was like something about crackheads living their best life or whatever. I was like, oh, that was pretty funny. Like, I will admit when something is funny. I will. And that was funny. And then, like I said earlier, the ghetto Dolly Parton thing. Like, I mean, it's funny, it's whatever. Now, I think my biggest gripe with this entire podcast, there's another one that I'll talk about later, but my biggest one is the guest itself. Whitney Cummings. She's a comic. She makes jokes. And whatever. I don't have an issue with her as a person. I'm sure she's fine. I've never like watched her stand up, but the issue is that this is the Hawk Tuah or the Talk Tuah podcast, where the girl who said the thing, should be talking. And I'm sorry, but Whitney Cummings is literally, it's like 46 minutes of her talking and then 10 minutes of the actual girl talking. That might be for the best. I don't realistically know. But the problem there is, like, if you are making a podcast where you're like the center of attention, like you made the joke, so you should be talking. I get that it's kind of like her first, like, rodeo, funny enough. But, like, I still feel like if you're that established where you literally have, like, a whole, like, setup and, like, you're able to go in and you're able to talk about whatever, you should just be able to talk and talk to her. You know, it's the first episode. It's whatever. The thing that sucks about this podcast, I think the most, and it's kind of just the gripe I have with podcasts in general, but it sounds so like corporatized. You know what I mean? Like everything is so like, you know, dead on, and they talk and there's perfect cuts or whatever. And it was really weird because like when they started, like she had her like a little intro which wasn't part of the podcast. It was like before the podcast. And then when they were actually like filming the podcast, she was like, "Welcome back to the Hawk Tuah podcast." So it's like, what do you mean welcome back? Like this is the first episode. Like have you already filmed other episodes? And then they talked about Jake Paul, which was weird. So they said something about having Jake Paul. I don't know if he was in a podcast already, like they filmed the one already and decided not to drop it yet. But I don't know. Kind of weird, whatever. I would say that my next main big gripe is the classic person rises to fame, they don't know how to deal with the fame, and then they start talking about how it's like too much or whatever. And now listen, I get it. You know, you say a stupid thing where you drunk off vodka, you're probably not expecting to go viral, and then you'd go viral, and it's like, oh my god, how am I gonna adapt to this? And I'm fine with that. That's not an issue. But the issue starts going when you like start talking about it like it's bad, right? So like they had a segment where they were talking about going to California and like how California dudes like only want to use you to get famous, which is there's a level of truth there. Like California dudes are the worst. Something that she had said, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. I don't really want to go through the whole segment again. I don't want to watch this again. She was like, "Oh, you want to be famous? Here, like, take my fame." It's like, no, no, no. No, 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 no. Don't take your fame because you wouldn't be sitting in that chair right now talking to that comic with those cameras. You wouldn't be doing that right now. Don't say, "Oh, take my fame." Because no, like, you want the fame. You clearly want it enough and care about it enough to have your one catchphrase be a podcast. So don't give me this bullshit about like, "Oh, the fame's too much." Well, it's like, okay, it's like you are directly benefiting from it. Like I know there's some gripes where it's like, and they even talk about it where it's like they even talk to Tuah about it, where it's like, oh, like you get family involved and then like they want money and it's whatever. And I understand that aspect of it. Don't get me wrong, but don't sit here and tell me you want to pass your fame on to somebody else when it's like there's other people in the world that are like, I'm like I'm not trying to like throw my hat in the ring there, but like I want to be famous. No, I would like to get lucky enough to say oogly boogly and then the next day I have $1 million. You know what I mean? Like obviously I'm hyperbolizing it, but you get what I'm saying. And I don't know, I feel like it's a thing that a lot of people do where they're just like, "I don't want the fame, it's too much right now." It's like, whatever, like you're getting paid, like that's all that matters. Like I don't know, maybe in her case it's a little different because of it, but for the most part I think she's gonna be making a decent bit of money from it, so I don't really want to hear it. Overall, the podcast wasn't that bad. Like it was 56 minutes of just like rambling and like not very funny jokes, but it wasn't like the worst thing. And actually when they do the Hawk Tuah like joke, it's not like that apparent, I guess. Like it's only mentioned, I want to say 4 times out of the whole thing. Like they talk about it like in like passing where it's like since this, you know what I mean? But they don't actually like talk about Hawk Tuah, which is like I kind of am grateful for that they're trying to expand and do their own thing as a podcast. That is about the only props I'll give them. I think this is just a podcast made for people above the age of 30. So like maybe that's why I don't find it funny. But I don't know. It does, I would say, me being the negative, pessimistic guy I am, I would say that there is actually some upside to it, and I think there is room for improvement. I do think if they had someone funny enough on there, I think it could work. The Hawk Tuah girl just needs to talk a little bit more. She needs to make sure that that's not her only joke. And whoever's the guest needs to stop yapping that much. You know what I mean? Like, I get that's why they're there, but it kind of just felt like Whitney Cummings' podcast featuring Hawk Tuah girl. You know what I mean? I don't even know if this video is going to hit. It was kind of a stupid idea, but I did watch 56 minutes of the podcast. So if you guys could please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm so sorry. But actually, if you guys could, do all that shit and whatever, reach out. Thank you all for watching, and Hawk Tuah. Bye.